Man, it's cold out here, yo. So in my book, My Road to Damascus, a journey through spirituality and mental health that leads to liberation and personal development. That's a long title. Um, when I get the publishing deal that I'm about to get, I'm probably going to change that title, something a little bit more modified for financial purposes. But right now we're going to go with that. So anyway, in my book I speak about, after a situation where a person's life falls completely apart, and I'm gonna have to do some switching around because my hands are cold. Um, you end up at the bottom, lose everything, maybe job, maybe relationship, whatever the case. So I talk about the clarity of being down at the bottom of the mountain looking up and being overwhelmed with the fact that now you're at the bottom and you got to start over from scratch. That's a universal blessing, because if you have a life that falls apart and things happen and you don't have nothing no more, that's the period of time where the universe is saying, yo, you didn't build this, you didn't build up your life with a solid foundation. You heard in the Bible where, the person that builds their house on sand and then the person who builds their house on stone, the sand collapses after a period of time because it didn't have a proper foundation on it. Whatever your situation is, maybe you picked the wrong spouse, maybe you were in a job that wasn't your real purpose and didn't exercise the gifts that you had. So the universe had to say, yo, man, I got something better for you right now. I got something different for you right now. And you're going to have to ride this out. Now, there's two ways of looking at that situation when you're at the bottom. The first way to look at it, well, I'm going to say them both. Right now, it's either an emotional look at it or a spiritual look at it. Now, when all that shit starts happening to an individual, they get emotional about it, which I can tell you from experience that's definitely been, one of the situations that I've come across, falling into the emotional state, why this happened to me, what did I do wrong, all these types of things that ultimately continues to bring more of what you don't like into your life. You understand? Like, the more you think of everything that you did wrong, or the more you think of everything that went wrong, and you couldn't get a balance of it, and you are searching for that needle in the haystack, well, the universe is just going to increase that haystack and make that needle smaller, because that's the way you're looking at it from an emotional state. But if you look at it from a spiritual state, you start thinking within, you start looking at yourself. You start to say, okay, my marriage is busted. I don't got nothing now. Everything is fucked up. However, let me see where I went wrong. Where I went wrong is I did not listen to my intuition. I did not listen to myself when I saw those red flags. Maybe you was just consumed with how good the sex was. Maybe you were consumed with the fact that, you were struggling for a period of time, and then you found someone and they were able to help. Instead of having to pay all the bills, you only got to pay half now. So that was able to put extra money in your pocket. But like my Uncle Big John would tell me, all money ain't good money. So you could be definitely looking in a situation where you had these things going within of why you chose to stay in a relationship that had nothing to do with, is this relationship best for my growth? because that's what a relationship is supposed to be about. Even when the sex is good, if the person is there helping you grow, that's the relationship you're supposed to be in. But what happens is you get to the point where, like I say, you ignore the red flags. After you ignore the red flags, when things fall apart because it wasn't based on nothing solid, you're in this situation. You're looking at it from an emotional, that's where all the depression and anxiety and failure that you think you are is coming into. But at some point, you're going to have to look at it from a spiritual angle. And instead of saying, woe is me, instead of being down on yourself and getting to the point where you hate yourself or you're upset with yourself, you need to start saying, I learned a valuable lesson here. And the valuable lesson here I learned was to not compromise what I feel inside, because what I feel inside is important for every step that I make when I live my life. This is a feeling universe. You have to feel your way through it. That's why, all the great spiritual teachers tell you that when you want something, you have to act as if you already have it. You have to figure out a way to feel that. That's where affirmations come in. That's where autosuggestion comes in. Where you look at what Napoleon Hill was saying about repeating something over and over again until you finally get it down into your subconscious. Let me leave you with this, from Napoleon Hill, and I'm not going to quote it correctly. He says, every failure has the seed inside of it of a equivalent success. Every failure has the seed inside of it of an equivalent success. So if you failed huge, that means there's going to be huge success coming to you. But in order to get to that huge success, you have to switch your mind out of the emotional state, woe is me, I'm horrible, I'm upset, I'm depressed, and switch it to the good things about what you are going through and what you've understood and what you've learned from that process, so you can build yourself back up. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. But the fact of the matter is, if you're looking at this from a spiritual aspect, which is positivity, which is a growthful aspect, that means you are on the right track of attaining the things. So that seed in it, that failure, it actually gave birth to a success. And you have to begin to look at it like that, because that's the way it is. That's the yin and yang of life. That's the ebb and flow. That's polarity. On one end of the pole, it's perceived as not positive. On the other end of the pole, it's perceived as positive. What you need to do is find yourself, get back to the middle. Once you get to the middle with your thoughts, with your feelings, affirmations, once you can get to the middle, then you can begin to work towards the positive side and continue on pressing forward, because that's what it's about. As long as you woke up, that means there's something else for you here. If you woke up, there's something for you. I don't care how bad you felt. I don't care what you did wrong. I don't care what your perception of what happened to you in a good thing or a bad thing happened. It doesn't matter. What you need to do is switch your thoughts and understand that that experience you dealt with was learning. And what that learning did was lay the proper foundation for you. Do you understand that? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? All right, it's cold. Peace.